Hello viewers, I wanted to do something a little bit different today. I wanted to look at China, the rise of the sleeping dragon. That dragon is no longer asleep anymore. Interesting, the King of Swords jumped out, which of course is you know, a very powerful leader. As some of you may know, China is building the Belt and Road, which is an economic trade, I guess, highway throughout Eurasia and parts of Africa. Along the way is negotiating those routes with some, I think, 70 countries. Now, in Africa, as we know in the news lately, we've had China coming out and saying they're going to loan the African nations, or some African nations, $60 billion. This follows on from a similar loan in 2015. Now, some of those African nations are in very high levels of debt distress. And when they cannot pay off those loans, China then can come in and seize assets. Now, these countries in Africa are very rich in minerals and other resources. That sets China up then for when the countries can't pay the debt to come in and seize assets. So overlaying that is, of course, Donald Trump and his trade war with China, which is really starting to hurt global economies. For example, in Australia, there are predictions that the China-US trade war will cost the Australian economy $36 billion. Our trade minister has come out in recent days and has urged calm and has urged the superpowers to look to the World Trade Organization to resolve their disputes rather than escalate a trade war. Donald Trump is considering slapping another more than $200 billion worth of tariffs on an already $200 billion worth of existing tariffs. Now, much of these tariffs are on things like steel, for example, which will hurt the jobs of steel workers, will hurt those states that basically put him in power. Yet I cannot see, and I'm not speaking for the majority in these states, they cannot see that Trump's policies are really, they think it's going to make America great again. No, it's going to hurt the American economy. There are decades and decades and decades of rules around trade that have been set up through the World Trade Organization. It's not a perfect system. None of these systems are perfect. Possibly because those who are running them are not perfect. But the alternative to fighting trade wars, for not using diplomacy, negotiation, those traditional ways, for not bearing in mind the rules, the alternative is an all-out broad-scale war that will, damage the global economy, send it into recession. Now, the trade war is not good for China, of course, but it's not good for the US either. In the meantime, the sleeping dragon is awake. China is making inroads literally across the world. Its influence is growing. While we're concerned about Donald Trump and the Mueller investigation and Donald Trump's latest tweet at 2 o'clock in the morning, meantime, the sleeping dragon is pushing through Eurasia and, most importantly, Africa, rich in minerals and other resources, and brokering deals and tying countries into debt arrangements that will only increase China's influence in the long term. So the question I have today is Donald Trump's presidency is it impacting on US influence and US wealth, I guess, the US economy across the world? Is Donald Trump wrecking the US economy through his tariffs, through allowing China to rise in power as the US slips in power? Will Donald Trump's actions eventually send the American economy into recession? Donald Trump's actions via tariffs, via letting China rise, China's power go unchecked, will that rebound on the American economy? I just got an image of homeowners' mortgages. That might be where it might first start to hit. Whether that's rising interest rates, I'm not sure, or whether people are unable to pay their mortgages due to loss of jobs. I don't know. That's what I'm getting. Let's see what the cards have got to say. Okay. The Three of Cups. This is about circles of support, teamwork, relationships, hard work and endeavours. This is in the past position. This to me represents America's approach and America's economy in the past. The Three of Swords. This is the other sword card that frightens me, is the Three of Swords. In the present position, so we've actually got heartbreak. So it wouldn't surprise me if there is already financial stress being felt across in some parts of the country, and there may be people who are starting to wake up. Maybe it's the people working in the Harley Davidson factory or the steel factories, maybe, or the farmers who are losing out as well. People are starting to wake up. They're starting to feel a little bit betrayed by the tariffs. Queen of Cups in the future. This is about healing and support and help when you need it most. It seems to me as though something will change in the future, that help will be provided, support will be provided, things will change, things will turn around. So anyone who is worried about the Trump's economic policies and global policies impacting on the local economy, it seems to me that in the future that help and support will be given. It seems though that people are very worried at the moment. Let's get some clarification on these. So the page of Pentacles. So this is about news, news in the past. So it could well be that people are becoming increasingly aware of China's growing influence, and that may be that's leading them to be concerned that it's going unchecked. The Six of Cups in the present position. This is about gifts and about relationships. It could even be that new relationships on the world stage are being forged to replace the US relationships. And in relation to the worry about financial distress, it could be that there is now a greater unity with people to perhaps acknowledge that the direction that Trump is taking the US in is not a good one. And look, in the future, we get the lovers cards. Look, I think that goes to the new relationships that are being formed. You know, rather than disunity, there might be a growing unity. There might be more unity than what we think there actually is in the US at the moment. And unity is strength. Disunity is weakness. And that unity or the disunity is being currently exploited by the superpowers like China and Russia. That disunity is being exploited, but it seems to me that unity will be present in the future after Trump's gone, probably. In the past, the global economy was, as stable as it could be. The world organisations like the World Trade Organisation and the diplomacy, the decades and decades of US diplomacy, and in all the, I guess, the key global structures, what they delivered was balance and moderation across the world, whether that was in a military or an economic sense. We're talking economic today. They delivered moderation and balance, or the ideal of balance was certainly there. So that's in the past position. What's happening in the present? So right now in the present, people are, or I guess the situation, the issue is I guess precarious. It's very, very precarious. There are a lot of competing forces. It's certainly not as it was in the past. So, we're almost blind, I think, also. We're almost blind to the implications of what is going on, whether that be via the tariffs and the trade wars and their future impacts, or China's rising power. We are blind to what that future may hold. Seems to me, though, that in the future things change, and help and support is given. And there we have it. Again, I have to say I love the tarot. Justice will ensure that people receive the help and the support they need. Justice will address the imbalance. Justice will address the worry and the financial worry that some people may have. Justice will take the blindfold off and will allow people to see very, very clearly in the future. Justice will mitigate against the rise of superpowers like China. We can probably say that justice will remove the President Trump. I mean, this could well be the Mueller investigation, removing President Trump. And so the help and the support is on its way. The trade wars finish. We go back to negotiation and diplomacy as a way forward, and strategic opposition, constructive opposition. We go back to that. We don't go to conflict and abuse and I guess coming into situations without any strategy for the future. Where is the strategy? So justice will prevail and will provide a situation that is going to bring in help and support for those that need it. I just want to quickly ask, in terms of China's Belt and Road, in terms of China's push, I mean, what do we need to know about that? How is that going to be beneficial? Well, it certainly is setting African economies up for, loss of assets, or could result in loss of assets. I mean, will the US be able to mitigate China's growing influence? Certainly not at the moment, but in the future. Let's just clarify that Queen of Cups. In position to mitigate China's growing influence. Okay, so that's the Seven of Swords, and that very much is betrayal, and running away with things. So it could well be that often this is also secrets. Something is stealing something. They're running away with with something, and it's theft. And it could well be that the secrets will be exposed, which will actually... Secrets will be exposed, which will be beneficial to the world in, I wouldn't say stopping China's influence, but mitigating it. And that, I'm coming back to the Justice card. Are we talking about the Mueller probe here? Is that what we're talking about? Talking about the Mueller probe, exposing secrets, ending the Trump regime. Is that what we're talking about? Including what is going on with US economic and foreign policy. Secrets coming to bear which will expose, and the Trump regime's mistakes or deliberateness, lack of strategy. Yeah, okay, so we've got the Knight of Wands. Now the Knight of Wands is riding in, free-spirited, creative, new ideas, bringing all of these things into the situation. So it seems to me that the free will of people will be restored. The freedom. I mean, this situation where you're operating in secrecy is not free at all, is it? But the Knight of Wands brings new will into opening up that which was hidden, and ensuring that in going forward we've got a chance at justice. And let's not forget that we drew the Lovers in the future as well. So once these secrets, and once things are not hidden anymore, and help and support is given, new relationships are established, and justice, I guess, will prevail, both in the US internally and in world affairs, in terms of things being a little bit more checks and balances, which are not being made at the moment, because of Donald Trump's actions. All right, let's leave it there. I don't like saying that there's going to be worry and financial strife, but it seems to me that the cards that we've got to remember is that the situation won't prevail, and there will be help and support coming. Secrets will be exposed, new ideas, new plans, new projects put into place, new relationships and existing relationships become stronger and more constructive, more helpful in the longer term, and justice is restored locally in the US and also globally. We've got more chance of justice occurring in the future once President Trump is gone and his secrets exposed than what we have in the current situation with global affairs at the moment. Thank you, viewers.